Hello and welcome to the Fort Brain podcast. I'm Ali.
And I'm Somil, and very excited to have the season finale. For this year, as the holidays are approaching, we thought it'd be a great idea to retrospect a bit on how the year has been for the agent. I think a lot of exciting stuff has happened. Very difficult to believe that the whole agentic conversation is less than 1.5 years old, but still so much of a buzz. So Ali, what we're going to do is we look at three aspects of how the year has been. I think let's look at the enterprise aspect, what has been going on there on the adoption side. Let's also look at the market outlook and the value aspect. What do the market gurus think about how this curve is moving? And then let's have a bit of a discussion on the technical outlook. What has amazed us in this year, and what can we expect in the next 12 months?
That sounds good. Let's do that. Let's go.
Great. So let's start with enterprise. Let's start with enterprise adoption. I think the first one we're gonna start with is the Gartner's forecast, and Gartner forecasted that by 2028, 1/3 of all enterprise applications will include agentic AI, and 15% of the day-to-day work decisions will be made autonomously. So that's really, I think Gartner is quite bullish on AI agents, and also makes a lot of sense. What we want to see is this 33%, do they see as is that a addition on the current stack, or do they see this also as a part of replacement of the existing functionalities? I think the second good highlight is that according to the State of AI Agent Development Strategies in the Enterprise Survey of around 1,000 enterprise, more than 86% respondent said that the enterprises require a major upgrade to their existing tech in order to deploy AI agents. Something that we also see in the market, that they figured out that in most agentic use cases, you have to connect up to 8 to 10 different data sources. And right now, either the data is not available or it's not in the form where it can be readily used for agentic solutions. So that's going to be a big ask. And what remains to be seen is what is it that organizations are willing to put into it. And the same report also says that 42% of the enterprises are planning to build over 100 AI agent prototypes next year, and 68% are budgeting $500,000 or more annually for agentic initiatives. I think enterprises are also going quite bullish on this, which is really, really good. And really, what remains to be seen is how does this adoption takes place, in what domains, functions, and how do people adopt. And the last part that I want to bring attention to, this was according to the Microsoft and LinkedIn 2024 Work Trend Index report, estimated that 75% of the knowledge workers today use AI in one form or another, and 78% of that cohort bring their own AI tools to work. So this is also a bit of a challenge. I think 13 years ago, when we had the same conversation around bring your own devices, when people are using their mobile phones to work. And there's a new challenge that if people bring their own AI tools, if people bring their own Gen AI applications, if people want to bring their own assistants and agents into the office, how would that look like from a security perspective, from a risk perspective, from and some organizations are encouraging it, some are basically trying to hold it and not say anything about it, which I think is the worst. And there are a few enterprises which are discouraging that. So it remains to be seen how that turns out next year. Interestingly, GitHub did a similar survey for over 2,000 developers, and 97% of those use AI coding tools. So I think I would feel comfortable to say that when it comes to coding copilots, I think Gen AI and AI assistants have become mainstream. We can say that, at least in most of these new age enterprises.
100%.
Right. What we want to see is how does the like the other part of the business users start adopting. One interesting thing about the Microsoft and LinkedIn report was that they look at the adoption. It was quite consistent between age groups. I think even like people who are 44 plus, even they had adoption of almost more than 70%. Of course, millennials and Gen Z had even higher. But I think it's the good thing is the adoption is good across all ages. So this could really be a big phenomena in the next couple of years.
It could be. My first reflection is that I'm, as it's with political polling, some of these surveys have significant biases, so we should take them with a grain of salt usually. But I think the fact that people are planning to actually invest in it is a fact. People will see the future. They can see the future. My main beef with many of these, and we can discuss it later in the episode as well, is the estimates are one-dimensional, and the size and impact is one-dimensional as well. So that's something that we need to also look into. That, like, are you really thinking about, as you said, replacement of the current stacks, or is it just only estimating when you add stuff to it? And if you're just only estimating adding stuff to it, then it's, I would say, is the wrong way of thinking, right? You can't think of transformational technologies in a way that they're basically just adding to what you have. Like how would you think of the impact as a bigger picture? And that goes back to, maybe I can also read up some numbers for people on the estimates of the actual economic contributions that are going right now. There are reports telling people, for example, PwC has one report, an estimate that would be around $20 trillion impact on value creation, about 3% of global GDP, which is huge by 2030. That could be the case, but then also, then if you connect that to the market size, that's where I see my beef with these kind of estimates. Is like, okay, the impact is $19 trillion, but the market size for those agents is 3 billion or 5 billion, right? There's a huge gap here. It's like, how do you actually get there? And to me, what the biggest mistake they're making is in these kind of estimates is not thinking about, okay, there would be a completely new breed of value creation companies, completely new breed of value creation applications that are coming in that they're not estimating. There's this famous AT&T and McKinsey report in, I think it's 80s, that McKinsey estimated the global size of mobile users to be 900,000 people. How accurate is that now? So transformational technologies have a way of proving everyone wrong. I'm not saying that these guys are being unrealistic. I think there would be even more value created, but it would be value shifting from other places as well that we need to see and monitor in the coming years. I think the biggest areas that are in the reporting being mentioned, I think retail and e-commerce is the obvious one. People trying to add generative AI like Walmart does to their solutions and agents to really help customers have a better shopping experience, like party planning and so on. Most likely healthcare will have a lot of support around diagnostic solutions, but at the same time, saying that there will be trillions of dollars value in healthcare, where that's the slowest industry, obviously, because of the regulations and dealing with human lives. It's actually an interesting estimate. And I think the biggest one that people are not really sure about on how much, there's an estimate of $2 to $3 trillion on workforce efficiency, but people are not really sure how much of it is actually real and how much of it's not. At the end of the day, if your agent does your meeting minutes for you or does your task, what are you actually using that time to go get coffee or watch cat videos, or are you doing something else? That we can't measure yet. So that's another one, and I think that's those are the things. But then maybe we can actually also shift focus on market estimates. How different reports estimate the size of the market, and that's where we get into more of my beefs with these estimates as well. But what do you think? What are the
No, I agree with you. I think one of the challenges about all of these estimates is they look at something in isolation and not in interconnection. So if you just look at mobile itself, yes, 900,000. And I think I also want to go back to Professor Damodaran, who talks about valuation. And it's like, how do you define that company, or how do you define the problem frame affects the evaluation a lot. Also, the like the research, because if you think about a mobile phone as a telephone equipment, and already look at people who do not have access to telephone today getting access, then you come with 900,000. Of course, that estimate probably, I've not seen that report yet, but my guess is that they did not look at all the people back then who had landline connections who would switch over to mobile connections because it's better. Second, they could not foresee how internet played a role into mobile commerce. They could not see what role services could play. And I'm not talking about touchscreen and any smartphone. I'm talking about back then when you have this voice-based services that people would subscribe to songs and stuff like that, right? Those things. So it's very difficult to look at kind of, or gaming, for example. Those things are, because in the end, that is an intersection between different industries and different technologies together. That confluence usually people miss. And I think same thing is going to happen in agents. It's not so much what agents can do. It's more about what can you do when you have combined agents, for example, with e-commerce or social commerce. You combine agents with social media, combine agents with something else, right? I think that combinations are going to create many different solutions. I think agents are creatures of ecosystems and environments. Probably we spoke about that as well in previous podcast. We can see smaller micro markets coming up, and those micro markets could drive significant value, which is not captured in this 19.20 or trillion. Because it's not just about efficiency; it's about what else can they enable or empower. So I agree with you. I would take it from a piece of salt. But I think one message is clear that this is an informational technology. It is a bit unreliable, a bit nascent at the time. Of course, just 1.5 years old. But I see that it's going in a very, very positive direction, and people are very bullish, rightly so. And I really take a more positive or optimize or optimistic outlook on everything.
Yeah, I think these technologies haven't had, like, internet had its Google moment when Google came in and search became an easy thing, and then you could find things quickly and easily, and then Amazon came in and e-commerce became a commodity to a certain extent. And then you go to iPhone and smartphones, and I think the Instagram moment, maybe we could call it, where everybody started using some sort of a social media on their phone. That became made everything mainstream, instead of using these old Nokia phones that I used to have, and many of us have had before. These agents, these AI technologies, LLMs, they haven't had that killer application yet. I don't think ChatGPT is one. I don't think any of the others that are being built. So they haven't had their enterprise application, killer application yet. They haven't had their consumer killer application yet. There are quite a few, like Perplexity and all of those are trying to do that, but I don't think they're there yet. They're not really mainstream applications per se yet. So I think that's one of the things that many of these growth forecasts will miss to understand, okay, what would be the real replacement theory, for lack of a better word, for this kind of technologies that we need to look at. But at the same time, I think that now they're looking at like the market, agent market being valued at about 5 billion in 2024. At the same time, the ERP market is 70 billion. How much of that market are the agents going to eat? Going back to our never-ending beef with ERPs, like that is a good question, and I don't think we can see the answer yet. I would actually be more bullish that over the next 10 years there would be a lot of value shifting from SaaS companies and SaaS software to agentic decomposable software. But I think people are not really estimating that, and they're mostly looking at added value on top. So the market estimates that I would bet that are horribly off in the next 10 years. What do you think?
No, I agree, and I think enterprise, and especially if you look at the ERPs, couple of things. First of all, I don't really see the dichotomy between the internal enterprise applications and the external commerce. For me, if company is in the business of commerce, then you should have one seamless platform that does everything for you. So I don't think this estimation, I think it's only looking at the current stack and the current functionalities, is extending that over maybe higher adoption or maybe a little bit more users. The second thing is, even if you look at today's ERPs, and we have had a lot of discussions and a lot of fun around that, is there's still a lot of untapped value of things that ERPs are not able to capture. It's not that they're not demands, because if you go and talk to salespeople and the service people, they really, because they don't work in tables, right? They work in presentation, in Excel sheets, in drawings and things like that, and ERPs don't support that. So there's a lot of potential value gap that multimodal solution like agentic or AI-based solution can address and is addressing now. So that opens up a huge possibilities in terms of what you can do into field service, what you can do into sales, what you can do into into customer journeys and UX and things like this. So put together, I think this estimate is quite conservative based on my opinion, because if you look at the enterprise value together and the stuff that people can now do with agents and the time it takes then to test out new ideas, I think it will greatly boost the innovation potential of the companies, and that is, I don't think even 1% of that is captured in this estimate. So I think we are missing most of what is possible through agents.
I think so too. But now I have a feeling that we're boring the hell out of people talking about economics and values and ranting about ERPs. Maybe we can actually have some predictions and some technical outlook discussions as well. So if we start with that, what is your number one? And then we can take turns.
I think first one I would say is, of course, when Google announced that 25% of their code is AI generated. I think Sundar Pichai, when he did that actually shocked a lot of people who were still thinking that these coding co-pilots are, just for fun or just testing things out and not really serious business. I think he really drove this message home that, guys, this is serious business. And I think that shifted quite a bit. And as we said, so GitHub now, says that 97% developers are already using AI coding tools. I think, and when you look at some of the tools that are available, like Cursor, it is becoming a lot more autonomous in terms of coding, right? And it's really human in the loop, and people are basically just doing the review and the prompting and stuff. But the most of the heavy lifting is done by some of these tools. I think it's already mainstream there. I think that is one of the coolest thing that we can see. Maybe more applications along those lines.
Yeah, and I think the one that I'm actually quite excited about is going towards more of commoditized agents and marketplaces, and people can actually like now we have, if you want an LLM to do get, you can go to Hugging Face or whatever website, but now getting to more of marketplaces that can commoditize agents, and it doesn't become a complex long-term consulting projects to build agents for your operations. You could just basically use templates. So that's what I'm excited about, and the assistants that will get better and better. That's another thing that I'm actually. And let's be clear that when we talk about agents, we're not talking about glorified chatbots, right? That is one of the key things I'm very keen about to see, that like instead of having glorified chatbots for your customer service, you have proper agents moving around. What else?
I think I would say the multi LLMs. I think that's gonna become very frequent. If you look at solutions like Olama, which allows you to access LLMs on your local machine, that's quite cool. I think a lot of this. So two aspects of this. One is that we are seeing more and more, or three things actually. The first, I think we are looking at not one LLMs but multi LLM situations with a lot of routing based solutions, which enable you to choose or the right LLM in the real time, routing the messages or the requests, user queries to the right LLMs and getting the response and piecing it together. So that's actually quite cool. The second one, I think, is solutions, for example, the techniques that are coming up on the LLM prompting side. So could chain of thought, could be React, which allows two LLMs or two or more LLMs to work together. So, I mean, people are getting more lazier. I mean, now they don't even want to prompt. They want an LLM to generate the prompt that goes to the second LLMs to execution. And then they basically run an eval and feed it back into the first one to say, okay, how good the prompt is. So I think we're getting a bit more lazier in that respect. But the multi-LLM or adversarial LLM setups, I think we can definitely look at. And third part, which I'm looking kind of more keen about, is more of this multi-step reasoning and long-term memories with the LLMs. I think that's going to really change the game. We are seeing some very basic applications. If you look at the Gemini 2.0 computer use, it really does the step-by-step, multi-step execution and multi-step reasoning. We are not there yet because still it can do very, very simple tasks. But if you can have hold memory for long enough and have more dynamic context pouring into that, then I think could be a really good solutions for real world applications like supply chain, where you need to have long-term memory, but you also need more context to be fed into the model dynamically while making decisions. So I'm really bullish and very curious about how that multi-step reasoning and multi-step execution will go.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think maybe one last thing that I wanted to highlight is large action models, and then combining reasoning, combining understanding of language, combining those things to also combining it with understanding of actions and understanding APIs, understanding different things. That is where I'm actually very keen on to see what the development will be and how we can use them in a day-to-day basis. So maybe we can actually start wrapping up. This is our final episode for this year, final episode of this season. Maybe we can give a teaser when we come back in January. What are the topics we're going to talk about? So why don't you go first?
Okay. I think first thing that we discuss is I think we should go more into how to implement things. I think okay, let's take a step back. I think one of the things that I want to really put focus on is demystifying or explaining agents for what they are really, because I think there's a lot of misinformation going around. People are confusing agents with bots, agents with co-pilots, but these are very different things altogether, and we have to really define and frame what agents are. Second is explaining how to use agents. I think we should look at some use cases, how agents could actually work, how can you build your own agent, especially we're looking at enterprise grade solutions, because you can't just push everything into the agent and hope it figures out its own way. It's an engineering problem very, very quickly. And I would not say it's a data engineering, it's information engineering and knowledge engineering that goes into the agent. And a lot of times, a lot of work that we have done recently on that, maybe we could go to talk about that.
Yeah, I think basically in summary, as we wrap up, what people can expect is that we will start focusing on how, giving advice on how you could do it, how you would actually implement things, and what you need to know to be able to do so, and less of a high level overall overview things in the next season. So stay tuned. Have a wonderful holiday period and a happy new year in advance to everyone. And see you later.
Yeah, Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year.